What if everything you've been told about burning fat is completely backwards, while millions of people are torturing themselves with restrictive low-carb diets? Convinced they're unlocking some secret fat-burning superpower, the real science tells a completely different story, one that the ketogenic diet industry desperately hopes you'll never discover. You've probably felt that frustration of cutting carbs, feeling miserable watching your gym performance tank, and wondering why the promised results never quite materialize the way those transformation photos suggested they would. Here's the controversial truth that's going to save you months of spinning your wheels. Your body is already an incredibly efficient fat-burning machine, and the obsession with forcing it into ketosis might actually be sabotaging your results. The shocking reality is that some of the fittest, strongest people you know are eating carbohydrates regularly, crushing their workouts, and achieving better body composition than those following extreme restriction protocols. What you're about to learn will completely flip your understanding of how fat loss actually works, and why the simplest approach might just be the most effective one. Ready to discover why your metabolism doesn't need to be hacked, and how you can achieve better results while actually enjoying your food and workouts? The science behind real, sustainable fat burning is about to blow your mind, and it's probably the opposite of everything you've been taught. Let's dive into the truth that the diet industry has been keeping from you. Here's something that'll blow your mind. When you're pushing through those high-intensity workouts, your body isn't reaching for fat as its go-to fuel source. Instead, it's grabbing carbohydrates like they're the last slice of pizza at a party. Think about it. When you're sprinting, lifting heavy weights, or doing any kind of strength training, your muscles need quick, efficient energy, and carbohydrates as an energy source deliver exactly that. Now, fat burning does have its moment to shine, but it's during those chill, moderate-paced activities, like a leisurely walk or a slow jog. Your body's pretty smart about this whole energy thing. It knows when to use what fuel based on the intensity of what you're doing. It's like having a hybrid car that automatically switches between electric and gas, depending on whether you're cruising or accelerating. The problem is, many people think they can train their body to use fat during high-performance activities. That's like trying to run a race car on cooking oil. The comparison between fat and carbohydrates for athletic performance isn't even close. It's like comparing a bicycle to a motorcycle. When you need to get somewhere fast, your metabolism during exercise is designed to be efficient, and carbohydrates simply provide more bang for your buck when it comes to high-intensity performance. While fat can fuel your body during lower-intensity activities, expecting it to power through your toughest workouts is setting yourself up for disappointment and potentially compromising your results. You've probably heard this before. Switch to a low-carb diet and your body magically learns to burn fat as fuel, right? Well, here's where things get interesting, and honestly, a bit more complicated than those flashy diet ads want you to believe. The whole idea that fat burning automatically equals better performance during high-intensity workouts, that's where the science starts to raise some serious red flags. Now, don't get me wrong, your body can absolutely adapt to using fat as its primary fuel source when you drastically cut carbohydrates. But here's what the low-carb enthusiasts often forget to mention. This adaptation comes with some pretty significant trade-offs that affect your daily caloric consumption and overall performance. When you force your body into this fat-burning mode, you're essentially asking it to run on a less efficient fuel system. The fascinating part about this whole fat-burning phenomenon is how it's been marketed as some revolutionary approach to weight loss and fitness. Scientific studies consistently show that while your body can become more efficient at burning fat for fuel, this doesn't automatically mean you'll see better results in fat loss or muscle maintenance. What's really happening is that people are confusing the body's natural metabolic flexibility with some kind of metabolic upgrade. Here's something that'll blow your mind. When you're pushing through those high-intensity workouts, your body isn't reaching for fat as its go-to fuel source. Instead, it's grabbing carbohydrates like they're the last slice of pizza at a party. Think about it. When you're sprinting, lifting heavy weights, or doing any kind of strength training, your muscles need quick, efficient energy, and carbohydrates as an energy source deliver exactly that. Now, fat burning does have its moment to shine, but it's during those chill, moderate-paced activities like a leisurely walk or a slow jog. Your body's pretty smart about this whole energy thing. It knows when to use what fuel based on the intensity of what you're doing. It's like having a hybrid car that automatically switches between electric and gas, depending on whether you're cruising or accelerating. The problem is, Many people think they can train their body to use fat during high-performance activities, but that's like trying to run a race car on cooking oil. The comparison between fat and carbohydrates for athletic performance isn't even close. It's like comparing a bicycle to a motorcycle when you need to get somewhere fast. Your metabolism during exercise is designed to be efficient, and carbohydrates simply provide more bang for your buck when it comes to high-intensity performance. While fat can fuel your body during lower-intensity activities, expecting it to power through your toughest workouts is setting yourself up for disappointment and potentially compromising your results. Sure, your body can adapt to burning fat during exercise when you go full-blown low-carb or ketogenic diet. It's actually pretty impressive how flexible our metabolism can be. But here's the catch that nobody talks about. This adaptation comes with a serious drop in energy efficiency. It's like modifying a Formula One race car to run on regular unleaded gas instead of high-octane fuel. Technically, it works, but you're definitely not winning any races. Think of it this way. When you force your body to rely primarily on fat for fuel during workouts, you're essentially downgrading your energy system. Your muscles become like that friend who insists they can function perfectly on 3 hours of sleep. Sure, they'll get the job done, but not at their peak performance. This body adaptation might sound cool in theory, but in practice, it means your strength training sessions won't be as intense, and your overall athletic performance takes a hit. The scientific studies on this topic are pretty clear. While fat adaptation is real, it's not the metabolic upgrade that low-carb enthusiasts make it out to be. Your body becomes efficient at using what you give it, but that doesn't mean it's optimal for high-intensity activities or maintaining muscle mass. It's like learning to write with your non-dominant hand. You'll get better at it over time, but you'll never be as good as you were with your natural hand. Here's where things get really interesting. The idea that elite athletes should rely solely on fat burning is basically sports science fiction. Professional cyclists, marathon runners, and other high-performance athletes regularly consume carbohydrates during their events, and there's a damn good reason for that. When you're pushing your body to its limits, fat simply can't deliver the rapid energy that carbohydrates provide, no matter how fat-adapted you think you are. Let's talk real-world examples. During the Tour de France, cyclists aren't munching on bacon and avocados. Mid-race, they're downing energy gels, sports drinks, and other carb-rich fuel sources. Ultramarathon runners do the same thing, because they understand that sports performance at the highest level requires the most efficient fuel available. The mythology around fat burning has created this weird belief that somehow these professional athletes have it all wrong, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. The truth is, using fat as your primary energy source during high-intensity activities is like trying to power a rocket ship with a campfire. Sure, both produce energy, but one is clearly designed for the task at hand. Professional athletes know that their caloric deficit for weight management happens through training volume and nutrition timing. Not by handicapping their performance with suboptimal fuel choices. The real magic happens when you give your body what it actually needs to perform at its best. Here's the truth bomb that's going to save you years of spinning your wheels. Real fat loss happens through a caloric deficit, period. It doesn't matter if you're cutting carbs, fats, or even if you're doing some weird combination of both. Your body burns fat when you consistently consume fewer calories than you burn. Combined with strength training and high protein consumption, the source of those remaining calories. Honestly, your body doesn't care as much as the diet industry wants you to believe. Think about it like this. Whether you create your deficit by reducing carbohydrates or cutting back on fats, the end result for fat burning is remarkably similar. What really matters is maintaining that deficit while preserving your muscle mass through resistance training and adequate protein intake. You could get your remaining calories from sweet potatoes or from nuts, as long as you're in that deficit and hitting your protein targets. Your body composition will improve at roughly the same rate. The real game changer isn't obsessing over carbohydrate versus fat ratios. It's focusing on sustainable habits that support your metabolism and muscle maintenance. Scientific studies consistently show that people who maintain their strength training routine and eat enough protein see similar fat loss results regardless of whether their remaining calories come from carbs or fats. This is why so many people get frustrated with restrictive diets. They're solving the wrong problem while making their lives unnecessarily complicated. Here's something that might surprise you. All those intense workouts you're doing, they represent a pretty small slice of your daily caloric consumption pie. Most people think that crushing it in the gym is where the magic happens. But the reality is that exercise and fat loss through training accounts for maybe 15 to 20% of your total daily energy expenditure. The real heavy lifting, metabolically speaking, happens when you're not even thinking about it. Your basal metabolism, the energy your body uses for normal daily activities like breathing, digesting food, maintaining body temperature, and yes, even sleeping, burns through the majority of your calories every single day. It's like having a furnace running 24/7 in the background, quietly consuming fuel while you go about your life. This is why focusing solely on burning calories during workouts misses the bigger picture of how your body actually uses energy. The fascinating part is that your daily activities, from walking to the kitchen to fidgeting at your desk, often burn more calories than that hour you spent sweating in the gym. This doesn't mean exercise isn't important. Strength training and high-intensity activities are crucial for muscle maintenance and overall health. But understanding that your metabolism is working around the clock helps explain why sustainable fat loss is more about consistent habits than just crushing yourself with workouts. Here's what's really wild. Diets that include plenty of carbohydrates actually help most people perform better in their workouts and feel more energetic throughout the day. When you fuel your body with adequate carbs, your strength training sessions become more intense, your recovery improves, and you're able to maintain that crucial muscle mass more effectively. It's like the difference between running your car on premium fuel versus trying to make it work on fumes. One clearly gives you better performance. Think about how you feel after a good meal that includes some quality carbohydrates versus when you're running on empty or restricting them heavily. Most people report better mood, more stable energy levels, and improved athletic performance when they're not constantly fighting their body's natural preference for this efficient fuel source. The science backs this up too. Studies consistently show that adequate carbohydrate intake supports both physical performance and psychological well-being for the majority of individuals. Now, here's the kicker. Low-carb diets really only work well for a small percentage of people who genuinely prefer that eating style and can stick to it long-term. For everyone else, trying to force a ketogenic or severely restricted carbohydrate approach often leads to decreased performance, mood issues, and eventually giving up altogether. The real question isn't whether you can survive on low carbs, but whether you can thrive on them while maintaining your muscle mass and sanity. Let's cut through the noise here. Those flashy promises about teaching your body to burn fat rarely deliver the additional benefits that justify all the restriction and complexity. The ketogenic diet and extreme low-carb approaches have been marketed as some kind of metabolic hack, but the reality is that they often create more problems than they solve. You're essentially making your life harder for results that you could achieve with a more balanced, sustainable approach that doesn't require you to fear entire food groups. The focus on these extreme dietary approaches can actually sabotage your physical results and sports performance in ways that aren't immediately obvious. When you're constantly worried about staying in ketosis or avoiding carbohydrates, you're missing out on the mental and physical energy that comes from proper fuel. It's like being so obsessed with using the right type of gasoline that you forget to actually drive the car. You end up spending more time managing the diet than enjoying the results. Here's the uncomfortable truth that the low-carb industry doesn't want you to hear. Most people who succeed with these approaches would have seen similar or better results with a more moderate approach that includes adequate carbohydrates. The temporary water weight loss and initial enthusiasm often mask the fact that your strength training suffers. Your mood becomes inconsistent, and your long-term muscle maintenance becomes more challenging. Sometimes the simplest path really is the most effective one. Here's the funny thing about all this fat-burning obsession. While people are busy trying to hack their metabolism with complicated low-carb schemes, the folks getting real results are doing something almost boringly simple. They're hitting the gym consistently, doing their strength training, eating adequate protein, and maintaining a reasonable caloric deficit without making it rocket science. And guess what? These are the people who actually look good at the beach, while everyone else is still arguing about ketosis on social media. Picture this ridiculous scenario. You're at a pool party, and there's the guy who's been obsessing over his ketogenic diet for months, looking pretty much the same as when he started. Right next to him is someone who's been doing basic strength training and eating a balanced diet with GASP, actual carbohydrates, and they're clearly in much better shape. It's like watching someone try to build a house with only a screwdriver while their neighbor uses the whole toolbox and finishes first. The real comedy here is that we've somehow convinced ourselves that the more complicated and restrictive our approach, the better our results will be. Meanwhile, the most effective strategy has been hiding in plain sight this whole time: consistent training. Adequate protein, reasonable portions, and not being afraid of the foods that actually fuel great workouts. Sometimes the best magic trick is realizing there was no magic required in the first place, just good old-fashioned consistency and common sense. So here's the million-dollar question. Are you going to keep chasing the latest diet fad? Or are you finally ready to embrace what actually works? Everything you've just learned isn't just theory. It's actionable science that you can start implementing today. The choice is yours. Continue struggling with restrictive approaches that leave you frustrated and depleted, or start fueling your body properly while actually enjoying the process of getting in the best shape of your life. Think about it. How much time have you already wasted on complicated diet schemes that promised everything but delivered disappointment? How many more months are you willing to sacrifice your gym performance and energy levels for an approach that's fighting against your body's natural design? The people getting real results aren't following some secret formula. They're simply working with their metabolism instead of against it. And now you have the knowledge to do exactly the same thing. Here's what I want you to do right now. Pick one thing from this video and commit to implementing it this week. Maybe it's adding quality carbohydrates back into your pre-workout routine. Or maybe it's focusing on that caloric deficit while maintaining your strength training. Whatever it is, take action today, because knowledge without implementation is just entertainment. Your future self will thank you for making this decision right now. But this is just the beginning of your transformation journey. If you're serious about cutting through the fitness industry BS and learning what actually works for real people in the real world, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I'm constantly breaking down the latest research and exposing the myths that keep people stuck in mediocrity. Don't let another year pass by following outdated advice. Subscribe now, and let's build the body and confidence you deserve together.